It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our first keynote, who I think, knows a thing or two about mobilization at scale. He's the Chief Creative Officer at UNDP, running a lot of big campaigns there, and UNDP, of course, have a critical role in whether we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. His name is Boaz Paldi, but before we welcome him, we have a little short weather report for you that I'll invite you to watch.
I'm Kaylee with the very special weather report. From up there to down here, everything is crazy. If we don't listen to scientists, things are going to be even crazier when I grow up. Let's look at the forecast for 2050. Heat waves will affect 94% of children, making playing outside a thing of the past. Extreme droughts will wipe out wheat crops, killing the one food my brother eats, bread. Disasters will cost taxpayers almost $6 trillion. My parents hate taxes. Of course, all of this is caused by a blanket of heat-trapping pollution in the atmosphere that we could just, not put up there. But don't worry, there's still a chance of clear skies. Right now, clean energy systems are moving in from the east to the west, creating tons of cool jobs. And solar prices have dropped lower than oil and gas. Going through the satellite, it looks like a high-pressure system of grown-ups could still move in and protect kids from an avalanche of really bad stuff. Some gusty political winds ahead, but they're no match for the power of Hurricane Felicia. That's my mom. We'll keep you posted as we track if adults stop wasting time and fix this totally solvable problem. Because it's not just a weather report to us, it's our future.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. Paris. Now it's associated, it used to be associated with a good steak. Now it's associated with the place where the climate agreement was signed. And so that's Paris for me. So I'm very, very excited to be here. That was the hero film of the Weather Kids campaign. We launched this campaign on Thursday last week, on the 21st of March, in over 85 countries. Weather Kid films were created in more than 30 countries across the world in local languages with kids from that country. We had, forecasts on. We used the film as part of weather forecasts on privately owned and state-owned TV in all of those 85 countries. So we took over the airways in a really big way. CNN International aired a 22-minute segment on the Becky Anderson show on Thursday morning. Derek Van Dam, their chief weather reporter, incorporated this film into his own weather report. Early results show that we are successful. From Somalia to Argentina, from Rwanda to the United Kingdom, the Weather Kids were everywhere. Talking about the weather is no longer small talk. We used to talk about the weather when we didn't have anything better to talk about. We used to say, oh, it's a nice day. It's going to be rainy tomorrow. It's going to be sunny. Now it's breaking news every single day. We see very severe weather happening all over the world. We see more floods. We see more droughts, wildfires, increased storms. The largest storms in the world have happened just in the last year. And this keeps happening more and more. It's breaking news. It used to be at the end of the news segment, and now it's breaking news. And this is just the most visible part of the climate emergency. This is the part that we can see, that we can feel. The floods, I mean, if you happen to be affected by the floods, of course, if you were in Libya last year, that was a very stark example of that. Or if you were in Maui during the wildfires. So we thought, what if we let kids not talk about the weather of tomorrow and the next day and the next day, but tell us a little bit about the weather of what it will be like for when they're grown-ups in 2050. We used IPCC data and UNDP's own climate horizons to get a very scientific understanding of what those predictions could be. What life will be like in 2050 if we don't take climate action, if we don't do the things that we need to do now. And all of this to illustrate a very straightforward point. The climate emergency is not about me and you. It's a generational issue. I am pretty convinced that I won't be here when the worst of this catastrophe unfolds. My sons, Adrian, 11, and Cosmo, 6, will be paying the highest burden of the price. And so we need to make sure that we leave a better world for that generation. We need to remind ourselves that this is a generational issue, and we need to take climate action, of course. But the Weather Kids campaign is not a doom and gloom campaign. It's not about the fact that we're all going to die, because we're not. It's not about the fact that that there is no options, because there are options. This is exactly the opposite of a doom and gloom campaign. This is a campaign to inspire action, to empower people, and just like Nick said, to understand that we have the power to change this. We have the power to make a better world for future generations. And we need to keep the 1.5-degree dream alive. When parties met here in Paris in 2015, we got around the table with an understanding of an agreement of 3.5 degrees. We all know what that means. 3.5 degrees means there's no more humanity. 3.5 degrees means extinction, essentially, or close to it. Civilization as we know it would not exist with 3.5 degrees. Since then, we've come a long way. We're now in an agreement with countries, all 195 countries and territories, of 2 degrees. That means that we dropped by 1.5 degrees in the 10 years since the Paris Agreement, or not quite 10 years, but getting there. And we're on our way forward. And we believe very, very strongly at UNDP that we can reach the 1.5 degrees. We can come to the table in Brazil with 1.5 degrees on the table. But in order to do that, we need to reach everybody. We need all of us to take climate action. Every single one of us here. I mean, all of us here are committed. We're in the ChangeNOW conference. We are part of the solutions. But we need to include everyone in this. All of humanity. How do you reach all of humanity? What do you do? What's the mechanism to try and get everyone to take climate action, to try and get everyone to think about this every single day of their lives, which we're not doing, by the way. We calculate that about 80% of people around the world are completely aware of climate action and are not thinking that it's a Chinese conspiracy or any theory like that. They understand that it's man-made, they understand it's coming, and yet they're still not taking climate action. So how do we motivate them? Some people are stuck in fear. The problem is too big. The solutions are too small. But that's not true. Solutions are there. We can make it better. We have the capabilities. We have the possibilities. Humanity has one of the greatest races on Earth, or is the greatest species on Earth, and we can do this together. So 1.5 years ago, more or less, 1.5 years ago, we set out to create this. But how do we reach people? How do we create audiences? And so a lot of planning, a lot of plotting, a lot of really prepping for this moment last week. And the first thing that we did was really try and see how we can reach people. As I said in the beginning, the Weather Kids launched last week, created in 30 languages, aired on TV, and really kind of like went a long way in reaching people. But we needed those partnerships in order to create that. We needed to reach people. We needed to reach out to those media companies. We needed to reach out to PR companies. We needed to every possible tool within our arsenal we needed to use in order to reach people. And that's what we did. We partnered with a company called Enzu. Enzu is a company that puts ads inside games. And so we reached the gaming industry. This morning I got an email from them, and just in the last 3 days, we've reached 7 million people on gaming platforms. And we're going to increase that as we move forward with the campaign. We got in touch with a company called Heijin. They're the top AI company on video in the world, and we were able to translate the film, except for the 30 films that were created at the national level in countries with kids in those national levels, we were able to reach another 20 languages using AI translation. And you know, this can be used for deepfake, but this was used for AI for good. So we were able to use that technology to reach millions and millions of more people. We were able to reach an agreement, a partnership with an organization called the ICCO. The ICCO is the international trade body for all PR companies, about 3,000 members across the world. And we had 30 PR companies, some of them deep competitors, working for us to try and get as much earned media as possible. And of course, that bleeds then into social media, and will continue to bleed into social media, just the beginning of the campaign. So all of this to say that we were able to reach those audiences using those partnerships. And you know, Weather Company joined us in this campaign. The Weather Company from the United States gave us credibility, CNN, as I mentioned. And the World Meteorological Organization, based out of Geneva, we were able to reach Met offices around the world. The Met office in the UK did an incredible campaign across media in the UK. To do all this, we needed to have an action, a concrete action that people can take. And we send people to weatherkids.org. I invite you all to join us there and to sign a pledge to take urgent climate action on behalf of children in your life or the next generation. And once you sign that pledge to take climate action and you input the names of your kids, only first names for privacy reasons, we send you to a page of resources where you can take climate action, where you can have concrete ideas. I see my partner here sitting, Ingmar, from We Don't Have Time. Part of those actions sit with him, with how to move the money from place to place, from fossil fuels to sustainability. Many more actions are available on the website. I invite you all to watch it. Only in doing these things can we really find a solution to this. It sits with us. It sits with all of us. We're not to blame for it, but it sits with us, the solutions. There's no evil genius out there that somehow thought, oh, I'm going to create the climate emergency to somehow destroy humanity. Humanity took a wrong turn. We found a cheap source of energy and we went for it, and we went for it big. And we didn't know when to stop, and we're still having trouble stopping. But the solutions are out there, and there's no evil genius, and it's up to us to find the right solutions. And it's up to us to all work together to take climate action today, not for us, but for the next generations. Because it's not just a weather report. It's the future of these children that are at stake here. Thank you very much.